In the wake of the Babylonian conquest of Judah and the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC, the Jewish remnant left in the land faced a bleak and uncertain future. Gedaliah, appointed by the Babylonians as governor over the towns of Judah, attempted to restore some semblance of order and normalcy. However, this fragile peace was shattered by the ruthless actions of Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, in what can be considered one of the most shocking betrayals recorded in the Bible. The story is found in the book of Jeremiah, chapters 40 to 41, and provides a chilling account of deceit, murder, and the depths of human depravity. Ishmael's actions not only brought immense suffering to the Jewish remnant, but also had far-reaching consequences for the future of God's chosen people. To fully grasp the significance of Ishmael's betrayal, we must understand the historical context in which these events unfolded. The Babylonian Empire, under the rule of Nebuchadnezzar, had conquered Judah and Jerusalem after a series of campaigns from 597 to 586 BC. The Babylonians systematically demolished the city of Jerusalem, including the beloved temple, and deported many of the inhabitants to Babylon. However, a remnant of the population was allowed to remain in Judah, primarily consisting of the poorest members of society. Gedaliah, a Judean of noble descent, was appointed by the Babylonians as governor over the towns of Judah. His task was to oversee the agricultural activities and maintain order among the remnant population. Gedaliah's rule was initially met with cautious optimism. Many Jews who had fled during the Babylonian invasion began to return, hoping to rebuild their lives under Gedaliah's leadership. The prophet Jeremiah, who had warned of the impending Babylonian conquest and urged the people to submit to their rule, threw his support behind Gedaliah, urging the remnant to remain loyal to the new governor. However, not everyone was content with the new arrangement. Ishmael, a member of the royal family of Judah, harbored ambitions of his own. His allegiance lay not with Gedaliah but with Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, a longtime enemy of Judah. Baalis likely saw an opportunity to undermine the fragile Jewish remnant and sow chaos in the region. Ishmael, fueled by his own ambitions and resentment towards Gedaliah's authority, became a willing pawn in Baalis' schemes. The stage was set for a devastating act of treachery. Ishmael, accompanied by 10 men, made his way to Mizpah, where Gedaliah had established his administrative center. Under the guise of friendship and goodwill, Ishmael and his men were welcomed by Gedaliah, who hosted a feast in their honor. However, as the unsuspecting Gedaliah and his guests were enjoying the meal, Ishmael and his men struck with ruthless efficiency. They drew their swords and mercilessly slaughtered Gedaliah, along with the Babylonian soldiers and Judeans present. The brutality did not end there. Ishmael's men then proceeded to kill 70 pilgrims who had come to offer sacrifices at the site of the demolished temple in Jerusalem. These innocent men, unaware of the carnage that had taken place, were lured into the town and slaughtered, with only 10 surviving by promising to reveal the locations of hidden treasures. Ishmael's actions plunged the Jewish remnant into a state of utter chaos and despair. The fragile peace and hopes for rebuilding were shattered, replaced by fear and uncertainty. Jeremiah, the prophet who had supported Gedaliah's rule, was among those taken captive by Ishmael and his men. As news of the massacre spread, panic gripped the remnant population. Many feared retribution from the Babylonians, who had entrusted Gedaliah with maintaining order in the region. Ishmael's actions had not only betrayed Gedaliah but also undermined the authority of the Babylonian Empire. In a desperate attempt to escape Ishmael's clutches, the Jewish remnant, led by Johanan and other military leaders, confronted Ishmael and his men. A tense standoff ensued, during which Ishmael's captives managed to escape and join Johanan's forces. Realizing that he was outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Ishmael and his remaining men fled, seeking refuge among the Ammonites, their co-conspirators in this act of treachery. The aftermath of Ishmael's betrayal was devastating for the Jewish remnant. Fearing retaliation from the Babylonians, Johanan and the other leaders made the fateful decision to flee to Egypt, despite Jeremiah's warnings against such a course of action. This decision would have far-reaching consequences for the Jewish people. By seeking refuge in Egypt, they effectively turned their backs on the promised land and the covenant God had made with their ancestors. This act of disobedience would further prolong their exile and separation from the land promised to them. Moreover, Ishmael's actions had effectively destroyed any semblance of stability and order that Gedaliah had worked to establish. The tenuous peace that had existed under Babylonian rule was shattered, and the Jewish remnant found themselves once again displaced and vulnerable. The book of Jeremiah provides a poignant glimpse into the anguish and despair that gripped the Jewish remnant in the wake of Ishmael's betrayal. Jeremiah laments the senseless violence and the loss of innocent lives, questioning how such atrocities could have occurred. Yet, amidst the darkness, Jeremiah's words also offer a glimmer of hope. He reminds the people that God remains faithful, even when they falter, and that their future restoration and redemption are still possible if they repent and return to the Lord. Ishmael's betrayal serves as a sobering reminder of the depths of human depravity and the consequences of unchecked ambition and violence. It is a cautionary tale of how one person's actions can shatter the lives of many and derail the course of a nation's history. At the same time, the story of Ishmael's betrayal also highlights the resilience of the Jewish people and their unwavering faith in God's promises, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. As we reflect on the story of Ishmael the son of Nethaniah and his ruthless betrayal, several profound lessons emerge. First, we are reminded of the devastating consequences of betrayal, especially when it is fueled by personal ambition and a disregard for the well-being of others. Ishmael's actions not only brought immense suffering to the Jewish remnant, but also had far-reaching implications for their future as a nation. Second, this biblical narrative serves as a warning against the dangers of unchecked violence and the cycle of retribution it can unleash. Ishmael's actions were motivated by a desire for power and a willingness to shed innocent blood, yet in the end, his betrayal only bred more violence and instability. Third, the story of Ishmael's betrayal highlights the importance of leadership and the profound impact that leaders can have on the lives of their followers. Gedaliah's noble efforts to restore order and stability were undone by Ishmael's treachery, leaving the Jewish remnant adrift and vulnerable. Fourth, this biblical account reminds us of the enduring faith and resilience of the Jewish people. Despite the trauma and upheaval caused by Ishmael's actions, the remnant clung to their belief in God's promises and their hope for restoration. Finally, the story of Ishmael's betrayal serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of disobedience and turning away from God's will. The Jewish remnant's decision to flee to Egypt, despite Jeremiah's warnings, further prolonged their exile and separation from the Promised Land. As we conclude this exploration of Ishmael's betrayal, we are left with a sobering reminder of the depths of human depravity and the consequences of our actions. Yet, we are also reminded of the enduring power of faith, hope, and resilience in the face of adversity. May the story of Ishmael's betrayal serve as a potent lesson, inspiring us to cultivate integrity, compassion, and a commitment to justice and peace. By doing so, we can strive to build a world where such acts of treachery and violence are no longer tolerated, and where the bonds of trust and unity among all people are strengthened.